The moment you click that buy button, your heart starts racing. Your palms get sweaty. You refresh your screen every 30 seconds, watching those numbers dance up and down. Sound familiar? Here's something most traders won't tell you. The difference between consistent winners and consistent losers has almost nothing to do with technical analysis, chart patterns, or secret indicators. It has everything to do with what's happening inside your head. Professional traders lose money on trades all the time, but they still make millions. Amateur traders can be right about market direction and still blow up their accounts. The secret isn't in the charts, it's in the mind. Let me share something that changed my entire perspective on trading. A friend of mine spent 3 years learning every technical indicator imaginable. He could spot head and shoulders patterns in his sleep. He knew Fibonacci retracements better than his own phone number. He read every book, watched every video, attended expensive seminars, and you know what happened? He lost money consistently for 2 years straight. Not because his analysis was wrong. In fact, he was right about market direction more than 60% of the time. He lost because he couldn't control his emotions. He would enter a trade with a perfect setup, watch it go against him by just a few ticks, panic, and exit right before it reversed in his favor. Or he would hit a winning trade, get overconfident, and immediately jump into another position without proper analysis, only to give back all his gains plus more. This is the reality of trading that nobody talks about in those flashy advertisements promising quick riches. The market doesn't care about your bills, your dreams, or your feelings. It moves based on the collective actions of millions of participants, each with their own agenda. And if you can't master your own psychology, you're fighting a losing battle before you even start. Understanding fear and greed is fundamental to trading success. These two emotions drive almost every poor decision traders make. Fear causes you to exit winning positions too early, missing out on substantial profits. Fear makes you hesitate when you should be taking action on a perfect setup. Fear paralyzes you after a losing streak, making you miss the very opportunities that could bring you back to profitability. On the flip side, greed pushes you to hold losing positions too long, hoping they'll turn around. Greed convinces you to risk more than you should because you want to make back your losses faster. Greed whispers in your ear that this time is different, that you can skip your risk management rules just this once. The psychology of loss aversion is particularly powerful in trading. Research has shown that people feel the pain of losing money approximately twice as intensely as they feel the pleasure of gaining the same amount. This means a $500 loss hurts much more than a $500 gain feels good. Think about what this does to your trading decisions. You become more focused on avoiding losses than on maximizing gains. You hold on to losing trades because closing them makes the loss real, concrete, undeniable. As long as the position is open, you can tell yourself it might come back. This is why traders often let small losses turn into catastrophic ones. One of the most destructive psychological patterns in trading is revenge trading. This happens when you take a loss and immediately feel the need to make it back. The market took your money, and now you want to take it back from the market. You jump into the next trade without proper analysis, often with larger position sizes, driven purely by emotion. This is how accounts get destroyed. One loss leads to another, which leads to another, each one larger than the last, until you've wiped out weeks or months of careful gains in a single day. Professional traders understand that the market owes them nothing. Each trade is independent. What happened on your last trade has zero impact on what will happen on your next one. The concept of confirmation bias plays a massive role in trading psychology. Once you've decided which direction you think the market should move, your brain starts filtering information to support that belief. You notice all the indicators that confirm your view and conveniently ignore the ones that contradict it. You read news articles that support your position and dismiss the ones that don't. This creates a dangerous echo chamber inside your own mind. Successful traders actively seek out information that challenges their thesis. They ask themselves what they might be missing, what could prove them wrong, what assumptions they're making that might be flawed. Let's talk about the illusion of control. Trading can give you a false sense that you're in control of outcomes. You analyze charts, you place orders, you manage positions. It feels like you're controlling the situation. But here's the truth. You control absolutely nothing about what the market does next. The only things you truly control are your entry point, your exit point, your position size, and your risk per trade. That's it. Everything else is uncertainty. Traders who don't accept this fundamental reality constantly feel frustrated and stressed. They take every loss personally, as if the market is specifically working against them. They celebrate wins as if they outsmarted the market. Both reactions are problematic because they reinforce the illusion that outcomes are within your control. Overconfidence is another psychological trap that catches traders repeatedly. You hit a winning streak, maybe 5 or 6 trades in a row, and suddenly you feel invincible. You start thinking you've finally figured it out, that you've cracked the code. This is precisely when traders get reckless. They increase position sizes dramatically. They stop following following their trading plan. They take lower quality setups because they believe they can make anything work. Then reality hits hard, and the account takes a serious blow. The painful truth is that short-term results in trading are heavily influenced by randomness. A winning streak doesn't necessarily mean your skills have improved. It might just mean you got lucky with market conditions that favored your approach. The importance of detachment cannot be overstated. You need to develop the ability to view trading as a probability game rather than a series of individual battles to win. Think about a casino. The casino doesn't worry about whether any individual person wins or loses at any individual table. They know that over thousands of hands, their edge will play out. Traders need this same mindset. You need an edge, a systematic approach that gives you a slight advantage over many trades. Then you need to execute that approach consistently without emotional interference. Some trades will win, some will lose, but over time, your edge should produce positive results. Managing your internal state during trading sessions is crucial. Many traders don't realize how much their emotional state affects their decision-making. If you're tired, hungry, stressed about personal issues, or dealing with physical discomfort, your trading will suffer. Your ability to analyze information objectively decreases. Your patience diminishes. Your discipline weakens. Professional traders treat trading like professional athletes treat competition. They prepare physically and mentally. They ensure they're well-rested, properly nourished, and in the right headspace before they start. If conditions aren't right, they don't trade. Missing a day of trading is always better than trading in a compromised state. The concept of risk tolerance is deeply psychological and varies dramatically between individuals. Some people can comfortably risk 1% of their account on a trade and sleep perfectly at night. Others get anxiety attacks risking 0.5%. There's no right or wrong here. What matters is understanding your own risk tolerance and never exceeding it. When you risk more than you're comfortable with, every tick against you creates stress. This stress clouds judgment and leads to emotional decisions. You exit too early, or you freeze and can't exit at all. Size your positions based on your psychological comfort level, not on what some guru on social media says you should risk. The relationship between expectations and reality causes tremendous psychological damage to traders. People enter trading with wildly unrealistic expectations, often fueled by marketing messages promising quick wealth. They expect to double their accounts in months. They think they'll be right on most trades. They believe consistency comes quickly. When reality doesn't match these expectations, frustration and disappointment set in. This emotional state makes it nearly impossible to learn and improve. Successful traders enter with realistic expectations. They understand that consistent profitability takes years to achieve. They accept that they'll be wrong frequently. They know that progress is measured over long periods, not days or weeks. Dealing with drawdowns is perhaps the most challenging psychological aspect of trading. A drawdown is when your account value decreases from its peak. Every trader experiences them. Even the best hedge fund managers in the world have drawdowns. The question isn't whether you'll have them, but how you'll respond to them. Many traders handle small losses fine, but completely fall apart during extended drawdown periods. They start doubting their entire approach. They switch strategies constantly, searching for something that works better. They increase risk to try to recover faster. All of these responses make the situation worse. The psychological strength to stick with a proven approach during difficult periods separates professionals from amateurs. The role of patience in trading psychology cannot be emphasized enough. The market doesn't operate on your schedule. Quality setups that match your criteria don't appear on demand. Sometimes you'll wait hours or even days for the right opportunity. Impatient traders force trades. They see the market moving and feel like they're missing out, so they jump in without proper confirmation. They treat trading like a video game where the goal is constant action. Professional traders understand that doing nothing is often the best decision. They wait for their specific edge to appear, and they patiently let trades develop without interference. Understanding the psychological impact of position size is critical. The same trader who can analyze markets calmly with a small position becomes emotional and irrational with a large position. Why? Because the dollar amounts at risk trigger emotional responses. When each tick represents $50 instead of $5, suddenly every price movement feels significant. Your heart rate increases. Your focus narrows. You start making decisions to reduce discomfort rather than to maximize profit probability. This is why position sizing is as much a psychological tool as a risk management tool. You need to trade small enough that you can maintain emotional equilibrium throughout the trade. The concept of learned helplessness affects struggling traders significantly. After experiencing repeated losses, Some traders develop a belief that nothing they do matters. They start thinking the market is rigged, that success is impossible, that they're just unlucky. This psychological state is devastating because it removes motivation to improve. If you believe outcomes are beyond your control, why bother learning, adapting, or trying harder? Breaking out of this mindset requires recognizing that while you can't control market movements, you absolutely can control your response to them. You can improve your skills. You can refine your approach. You can learn from mistakes. Social comparison creates unnecessary psychological stress for traders. With social media, it's easy to see other traders posting their wins, their fancy lifestyles, their account screenshots. This creates a distorted view of reality because people rarely share their losses or struggles. You end up comparing your behind-the-scenes reality with everyone else's highlight reel. This comparison breeds dissatisfaction and pressure. You feel like you should be doing better, making more, growing faster. This emotional state leads to forcing trades and taking excessive risks. Successful traders focus on their own journey and progress, not on what others are doing. The psychological challenge of following a trading plan consistently is enormous. Most traders have experienced this. You create a detailed plan with specific rules for entries, exits, and risk management. You're convinced this time will be different. Then you get into the market, emotions kick in, and you deviate from the plan within minutes. Why is following your own rules so difficult? Because in the heat of the moment, your emotional brain takes over from your rational brain. The fear of missing out, the pain of being wrong, the temptation of a bigger profit all feel more real than the abstract plan you created. This is why successful traders develop strict routines and systems that reduce the number of in-the-moment decisions they need to make. Understanding recency bias helps traders avoid a common psychological trap. Recency bias is the tendency to place too much weight on recent events when making decisions. If your last 3 trades were winners, you unconsciously start believing your next trade is more likely to win. If your last 5 trades lost, you feel certain the next one will lose too. Neither assumption has any basis in reality. Each trade is an independent event, but our brains aren't wired to think this way. We're pattern recognition machines, and we see patterns even where none exist. Professional traders keep detailed records and review their performance over long periods to counteract recency bias. The psychological importance of self-awareness in trading cannot be overstated. You need to understand your own tendencies, triggers, and weaknesses. Do you tend to exit winners too early? Do you hold losers too long? Do you trade impulsively after losses? Do you become overconfident after wins? Are you more emotional during certain market conditions? Most traders never do this deep self-analysis. They keep making the same mistakes repeatedly without understanding why. Developing self-awareness requires honest reflection, keeping a trading journal, and being willing to confront uncomfortable truths about yourself. Mental accounting is a psychological phenomenon that affects trading decisions. This is when you treat money differently based on its source or intended use. For example, traders often risk money they've made from profits more carelessly than their original capital. They think of it as the market's money rather than their money. Or they might risk tax refund money differently than salary money. This is completely irrational because money is money regardless of where it came from. A dollar of profit has the same value as a dollar of initial capital. Professional traders recognize that all money in their trading account is real money that should be protected and risked appropriately. The psychological trap of complexity is common among developing traders. They believe that successful trading must be complicated. They keep adding indicators, looking for more complex patterns, developing elaborate systems with dozens of rules. The reality is that complexity often masks a lack of understanding. The most successful trading approaches tend to be relatively simple, based on fundamental principles of price action, momentum, or value. But simple doesn't mean easy. Executing a simple strategy with perfect discipline through all market conditions is incredibly difficult. Traders add complexity because it makes them feel like they're doing something sophisticated, but it usually just creates more opportunities for confusion and error. Understanding the psychological difference between outcome bias and process bias is essential for long-term success. Outcome bias is judging decisions based solely on results. A winning trade was a good decision. A losing trade was a bad decision. This is flawed thinking because good decisions can lead to losses and bad decisions can lead to wins in the short term. Process bias is judging decisions based on whether they followed your proven methodology. A trade that followed all your rules but lost was still a good decision. A trade that won but violated your risk parameters was still a bad decision. Traders focused on outcomes feel stressed and confused because results seem random. Traders focused on process feel in control because they know that following the right process will lead to success over time. The role of identity in trading psychology is profound but rarely discussed. How you see yourself affects your trading behavior dramatically. dramatically. If your identity is wrapped up in being a successful trader, every loss threatens your self-image. This creates enormous pressure and emotional pain. You can't admit mistakes because that would mean admitting you're not who you think you are. Conversely, if you identify as a disciplined person, you're more likely to follow your rules because violating them would conflict with your self-image. The healthiest approach is to separate your identity from your trading results. You are not your trading account. You are a person who trades, and trading is just one aspect of your life. Finally, understanding that trading psychology is not something you master once and forget about is crucial. It requires constant work, attention, and refinement. The psychological challenges don't disappear as you gain experience. They evolve. New account highs create new psychological challenges around protecting wealth. Larger position sizes create new stress levels to manage. Different market conditions trigger different emotional responses. Professional traders never stop working on their psychology. They meditate, journal, review their emotional states during trades, and constantly seek to understand themselves better. They recognize that the person they need to master is themselves, not the market.